All right. Thank
And I,
you.
and I have posted the copy of the participant slide deck in the chat for you.
Wonderful. And that will be accessible as well as the recording after this presentation so that you can access those materials and talk about them with your teams. Today, we're going to be looking at a Canvas overview, and I want to be clear that this is just an overview of the features within Canvas. This is not a how-to or a tutorial or a training course, just an overview, just as the others were today. But I would like to get us started with, in the chat box, if you could take a moment, why are you interested in Canvas? Why have you come to this class today to learn more about Canvas? What is your district looking at specifically? So if you could just add in the chat, I'll be quiet for a moment. Looking at a lot of admin requests for changing and looking at it.
I'm also noticing some of the features are beneficial, and they've also seen it through the K-12 system and as well as higher ed.
Yes, Canvas is the Washington State adopted LMS for university level. That doesn't mean every university uses it, but many of our local universities do use Canvas in the higher education. Okay. I'm brought to you a large team of people around the state that will share with you more information and help support your school once you make a decision for the LMS. So let's just go through who your people are. And if you're here with us, if you could unmute and introduce yourself as well, that would be great. So from ESD 101, we have Jeff Crawford and Steve Schreiner. From ESD 105, we have Larry Davison and Darcy Jamison. Larry, are you with us this time? From ESD 112, my name is Christina Wombold. I'm the digital learning coach, and Catherine Leivick is my partner in crime. From 113, Andrew Hickman. Andrew's with us.
Hello, everybody. I'm also going to be chat monitor this time, so I will help with that. And as Christina and I like to do, we jump in and help each other whenever we can.
Absolutely. And Pete, please as well.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. So glad you could make it. And thanks for joining us for a full day of learning about all of the options out here.
At 114, Susan Lathrop. At 121, Amber McCullen. At 123, Mike Espin. Pete represents 171. He just introduced himself. And at 189, Amber Colbert. If you're not sure what ESD you're part of, we have a resource page for you on AESD that clearly has a nice map that shows where you are. I'm at 112, that's Vancouver, Washington. Andrew's up in Olympia, and Pete is over, are you close to Yakima, Pete?
We are in Wenatchee.
Wenatchee. And every ESD has somebody to help you. So after this course and overview, when your district decides to go Canvas or Google or whatever they choose, these are the people to reach out to for those supports and professional development. Our purpose here is to make sure that you're familiarized with the features. Again, not a training, just familiarize what they are, and to get an overview of the specific interfaces for teachers and students, as well as parents. Some of you may have participated in the Reimagine WA run by Jeff Utek this summer. And in that time, he created what we are terming Core for Example. And this is just an example. this is how a district could organize their offerings for a family. So Canvas would be your home base in this case. This is where everything is. This is where I'm going to go to find all the communication, the links, the resources, whatever. Inside Canvas, there's also a conference tool similar to what we're doing right now. You're all in a Zoom. We're all in a live session together. Canvas has their own conferencing tool as well. That could be used, or you could use Zoom or something else. We want to point out this is just an example. But then also, where am I going to keep everything? Canvas allows you to use Google Drive, Office 365, any other cloud tool that you want to access materials that you're going to host inside your Canvas account. And then this other side over here where we wrote Screencastify, that's for your asynchronized video. Asynchronized video is where a teacher would provide new learning via a video that students can rewind, rewatch multiple times. In this example, we labeled Screencastify, but there's many other choices such as Loom and just a ton of other resources. We just wanted to give you one sample of how this Core 4 could work with Canvas. Within Canvas, you can have your administration or your IT team create your courses using your student information system to roster them, or teachers can create their own and provide links or add button or code so that students can join their course. It's really important that you contact your IT team as you decide how this is going to be rolled out and who's going to create those courses and roster students. If teachers create their own courses, if the name of the course is more than 31 characters, they will have to go into the settings and change that slightly. Oops, sorry, got ahead of myself. And this is what I was talking about here. So basic photography, if it was longer than 31 characters and I was creating my own course and my IT team wasn't, I would need to go into the settings to change that up to add the additional characters necessary. And then we can also, content license, copyrighted by default, can be added under the public domain or given a Creative Commons portion. So I can keep it private as my own district, or I can add it to the Commons, which is a bunch of courses that I can go out to and look for and use in this case. As I said before, to join a course, administrators can add the students, parents, and teachers so that teachers aren't having to do that. We can self-enrollment by a link, or we can add a join course button on the dashboard page for a student. What I really like about Canvas is that it can be broken down into mini modules or sections within the module. Each of the modules can have deeper organization with text headers and indents that signifies to a group or a group of content area. So I'm going to pop over one tab here and show you the student view of a course I recently taught at the university level. This course was organized by day, and on the third day I went ahead and added these text headers to organize information. So you can see I have a text header that says assignment and discussions, and then all the assignments and discussions are underneath. I have a text header for video explanations, and above that I had for building background. So this is one way a teacher can organize the content within a module within a larger course. And as you can see, I'm in the student view right now. So I'm able to, as a teacher, see what the students are seeing before the students are live in the class. So every course has the ability to access the student view. So I'm going to leave the student view. And this is the teacher view. I could have had all of these things hidden. So if I remove them, not hidden, but unpublished. When I go back to the student view, all of those items have disappeared, so the student cannot access them yet. And since this is a live class and there are students in it, I think they'll want to see the content, so I'm going to put it back on. The indents help a student know if that all goes together or the level of importance under the other pieces. To share assignments and materials, assignments can be set up to allow a wide range of submission choices, including uploading from any file source on your hard drive of your computer. It can also be connected to any cloud services such as Google Drive, Microsoft 365, iCloud, you name it. Within Canvas's, students can use the studio to directly record video submissions. So as a teacher, I get to choose how my students submit their work. If I allow it to be wide open-ended, a student could record a video response instead of writing a paper, or instead of writing in a text box, or they can give me a link to their YouTube video or anything else. Links to any other thing. So if I had a Google Doc that I wanted to bring in here, I could link that in. I can link in YouTube videos, resources to go out to PhET or other curriculum. And an instructor can limit how that's turned in. So if it doesn't feel comfortable to you as the instructor to receive video submissions, you can turn that off. You can be very specific about what files you do allow to be turned in for those file attachments, making sure that you would have access to them at all times. I'm going to pause just a second. Do we have any questions or things in the chat, Andrew?
Not yet. There was a question around the video conferencing work happens within. I just replied to that. It does use what's known as Big Blue Button, which has limited features with the free version. However, it does allow for synchronous sessions and recording. So that is what they use internally. It is actually recommended by Canvas that you can do an integration with Zoom or Meets and use those as well. Next question. Can students see all their current courses or assignments in one view, or do they need to go into each individual course?
Absolutely, they can see it from the dashboard. So I'm popping into my dashboard. Please don't be overwhelmed. I have a lot of courses. And from my dashboard on the right-hand side here, I have a to-do list. So if I was a student in all of these courses, this is my to-do list that I need to work through. I can also see my courses from the course button, and I can pop in or out of these various courses as well. So from the dashboard page, I can see all my courses, as well as the assignments that have due dates that I have not completed at this time.
Also, the dashboard page can be updated where you can handpick which ones are visible on your dashboard. So from a teacher point, you can pick from a student point as well.
Yeah, I can move them up or down. I can change the color of them. I have a lot of options for my own customization of the dashboard.
And if you go into your main courses list, if you star them, that's how they get added to the dashboard as well. You can manually pick those when you go to all courses at the very bottom.
All the way down there, all courses.
The ones that are starred end up on your dashboard.
So then I can decide which are most important for me to be on that dashboard and get rid of some of the others that maybe I'm not as active in.
We're getting questions around integrations. So can you integrate Dropbox? Can you integrate with Teams? I can answer that, or you can as well. So up to you.
Go ahead. You're already talking, Andrew. Go for it.
Yes, both of them can be integrated. So Canvas has an ability to, they have actually their code open source, where if you can get the integration codes, you can embed them into Canvas and have access as well. Pete also posted the link specifically how to do that with Teams. So thank you, Pete, for posting that. But yes, you can integrate almost every tool that I have found, including Google Drive, etc. So integration is available.
Yes, Canvas was created with the intent of all of these integrations and for a university level. So they had thought through this online platform during the early stages of collaboration and creation. Okay, so we've done shared. Facilitating discussions. Discussion threads can be built right into your course. They can be graded or not graded. They can be monitored or moderated or not moderated, depending on the student level and the teacher's preferences. The responses can also be opened to a text box response or a video response, an upload of a document, a link share. So the same things that we had inside of the assignment features can also be turned into the discussion features. And I can allow students to reply to one another or not, depending on how I want to set up my course. Do I want it to be a true discussion thread, or do I want it to be kind of an answer reply? Students can create announcements, push announcements to the entire course, or subgroups within the course can be done for the teacher. Those replies, if a student replies to a push announcement, those are not considered to be part of the conversation and do not show up in the conversation inbox. They just show up as a reply to the announcement. Canvas has its own internal inbox system, which connects to your email. So for me, I get all of my Canvas email within my Canvas installation, and I don't send it to my personal email or my work email to clog up my inbox. Those are set up at a notification level and how you want to do it. If I go into the live session here, I can show you my inbox. And then I can tailor it just by my favorite courses, or I can tailor it by all courses. So if I'm working with a certain group of students, I'm only going to look at that class and deal with that inbox at a time. Or I can go to all of my courses and get the inbox. I can assign due dates, and if I assign due dates for assignments or discussions, they go onto the internal Canvas calendar. I showed you that inbox on, or my to-do list on the dashboard page here that shows all the things. And then if I looked at my calendar, it's similar to Google Calendar or G Calendar in that I can turn off or on various courses to layer over. So as a student, I could look at all of my courses that I'm in, or I could look at just one course. And to do that, I just go over to the side, and just like in Gmail Calendar, I'm able to toggle off of those. And things will disappear or not. Let me see. There we go. So if I took off 707, a bunch of things disappeared for me. That doesn't mean they disappeared from that calendar. They just disappeared from this view of the calendar. Each course is assigned an internal calendar, and when a due date is given, it is placed on the calendar.
There's a question, would class meetings appear here as well?
I don't believe they do unless they have a due date. Is that incorrect, Andrew?
That is correct. Everything associated with the due date is put here as well.
But if you don't put a due date on it, it is not automatically added to the calendar.
Can you put a class meeting on as a to-do item though?
It would have to have a due date for it to be a to-do item.
One way I've gone around that is I post it as a discussion and then have the discussion have a due date, and then it would appear. So you can have a link to the meeting with the questions in advance, allow them to have a reply discussion or not. You can turn off that, but then you can associate a due date and it would put it on the calendar.
That's a great workaround. This also allows, if you want to have something that you're doing in class, but it doesn't have a due date, you can have that show up in your module, but it won't show up in that to-do list for students because it's just a reminder for them to do something. And then again, there's another picture from the calendar page and how you can turn it on or off. It also has a feature for you to be able to embed a calendar feed within your website or somewhere else if you wanted to as well.
Okay, next question. Can teachers be co-teachers with each other's classes in Canvas?
Yes, I believe they can. Let's see if we can go in. And that's set up during the creation of the course if there is a student. So right now I cannot from this place add a co-teacher in this moment. That had to be done at the beginning. Is that correct, Andrew? Or do you have a different way that you get in there?
If you just go to people, so left-hand side on the, yeah, go up a little bit.
Yep, I said it. Sorry.
You just push the plus people, and then you can actually choose if they're a student or teacher.
Or an observer or a designer. So for the courses we're teaching at the AESD, we have a TA and a designer that are associated with every course that we have, so they can go in and do things for us, help troubleshoot.
And your district admin, so I'm the admin for a number of different Canvas instances, but your district admin has the right under their admin features to determine what level of permissions each of those roles get. So for example, my TA feature, I use my professional services provider, and she's able to go in and check attendance. She's able to go in and see how many people have participated, but I do not allow grading and I do not allow replying to comments. So I was able to manually choose which level of permissions my TA role had, which really helped in this instance. Observers, for example, really just have permission to go look at what's happening. Sometimes it's just seeing what the assignments are posted, but they can't see any of the comments. So the level of permissions is extensive. It's a very large list to decide from, which I really appreciate.
Yes, and that's definitely a conversation to have with your IT team and as a building. How do we want to include these other roles within the system? Within the grade book, we have the ability to weight, just like we do in Skyward or other SIS systems. We have the competency met or not met, so we can add competency-based grading. We have rubrics that can be used, and you can reuse and share rubrics between courses and between instructors. And it can be integrated with an SSI system. However, you really need to sit down and have a conversation with your IT team on how that's going to look and work and how much time is that going to take? Do we have the ability to do this at our district level? I know it's not an easy lift to put together. In notifications, we have tons of notification settings, and these notification settings are similar for our students as well. So students can go in and set their level of notification preferences as well. You can see right up here at the top, and I'm going to make that a little bigger to see if I can. It doesn't want to get much bigger than, oh, I made it way too big. I can have them notify me right away, send me a daily summary, a weekly summary, or don't send me anything. And as a class instructor, I do not have them send me anything because I'm inside the course, working within the course all the time, and I'm trying to keep my work email separate from the course notifications. But that's a personal preference. And you can see you have due dates, grading policies, course content, a lot of other features to turn on or off. Oh. I'm seeing over in one of the questions, does it integrate with Turnitin or other plagiarism check features? I thought Canvas had a built-in plagiarism check feature. Do you remember the name of that, Andrew, off the top of your head?
I do not, but we can check really quick if you go to assignments.
Yes, let me go down to my assignments. I just can't remember the name of it off the top of my head.
Can't either. Do you want to,
Create an assignment?
yeah. Oh, we're getting a comment. No built-in anymore, but it does integrate with Turnitin.
Oh, that feature just went away. That's sad.
Okay. Scroll down a little bit for me.
Yes, I am.
Yep, looks like it's gone. Now, I will say with Canvas, there's a lot of additional integrations available that your admin can choose to have. For example, my Canvas instance for my ESD has direct connection with my Google accounts. So I can pull assignments and things from that. But those were choices that we made. So just echoing statements again, you need to have these discussions with your district IT as well as administration to see what integrations should be turned on and then have those abilities available. They do have a very, very large list of integrations available, which also even goes down to individual textbooks. So they already have those integrations populated, but you need to have that discussion with the district IT to see what's being turned on and what's not.
Absolutely. I can see myself sitting down with a team of teachers, figuring out what's important to us. And then as a collective going and working with the IT team on what's really going to make sense for our district, our building, our grade level to set up, and what abilities do we have.
Okay, getting a question. How well does Canvas respond to teacher feedback? Do they add new features if teachers suggest it? I can share from my personal experience. When we first started in Canvas, and I've been working with Canvas and these products, this is about my 8th year. I was working with Pete before at North Central ESD. When we brought on Canvas, I was in contact with their representative and they would actually build me specific things that I requested. So I've had personal experience where it's very well done. I've had the same experience with other products as well, other tools. So, etc. Do you have any other experience?
I haven't had to ask for too much at this point, so I don't have a lot of experience with it. Canvas is something that I have been using for about 2 years now with students. Pete, do you have anything to add to that? Or Amber, I see you're on the call.
Yeah, my experience is the customer support. I haven't had anything built like Andrew did, but just the customer support and the ability to ask those questions and to let them run with it has been great. No issues at all.
Wonderful. Amber, did you have anything to add to that?
We did have Joanne, and she added in Canvas is designed to make it easy to integrate third-party tools like plagiarism checkers. So there's that. And then she also added, we have a great experience. We talk to our customer service person every week.
Oh, that's awesome. So they're answering the phone. You're actually talking to a person. We'd love to hear that.
It's actually a scheduled meeting every week. We can have it for the life of the contract. It's not just implementation.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. That's great. One of the other features that I wanted to share within Canvas is the Commons. So Commons is, I had briefly touched on that you can add courses to the Commons and then other people can take those courses and they can be shared out widely. If we look on the Commons, which is just on the left-hand side here, I went down to the C with an arrow coming out. There's lots of integration, over 120,000 Commons that have been added for various things. We have using Canvas during a school closure. There's a course for that. If I'm looking at this LMS as something that I may be wanting to explore, I might decide to register for that course and take it. There's a lot of,
sorry.
Go ahead, Andrew.
The other thing that I really love is it's not just full courses that are shared on the Commons. Sometimes it's individual activities or modules, which is a level organization, or it is full courses. So there are different levels of resources that are added. So I think that's a great thing as well.
Yeah, and it looks like I can star them or I can see how many other people have downloaded it. So recognizing and avoiding plagiarism, 101 other educators have downloaded this module, which is this mini portion of their course. and have assigned it to students or themselves. So that's a really nice feature within the Commons.
So I will answer Keith's question. Keith asked, can you edit what's in the Commons? I will say yes and no. So when you upload to the Commons, I have a number of things there myself that I've shared. When you upload to the Commons, you choose which copyright it is. So it does use Creative Copyright License. So it's either going to be allowed for editing. And if it's allowed for editing, you can edit. Or if it's private, you cannot edit, but you can use the content. So it depends on what they choose as the upload. I have not found many that I could not edit yet. So for example, that's a quiz there. I'm sure that quiz can be modified.
Yeah, and I love the filter features that I can do it by what topic or subject. I can filter by what kind of content I'm looking for, what grade level, do I want templates or open textbooks? And do I want to look at all resources or only those that have been shared within my domain, within my Canvas installation? So in here you can see it says ESD 112. That would be similar to your school district. So it could be Seattle Public or whatever it is. As with all of these, they're accessible through a mobile application as well as a desktop version. The mobile application has 3 different apps, one for students, one for teachers, and one for parents. So whoever needs the access would be able to download the various apps and install them for their access view. The parent access is a specific app just for parents. The district can provision the parent account on behalf of the families, or the parent can register themselves via the parent app. If the parents are registering themselves, they'll need to use a student pairing code, which each student has access to this student pairing code. But we can also, at an admin level, allow teachers and administrators to also have access to this parent code to pair them directly with their student. They can have more than one student as well. Parents will have access to course grades, announcements, calendars, assignments. And as I said before, multiple students can be linked to one parent or one family member. It can be done without the code if the district provisions that on behalf of the parents. So that would be another IT level thing that can be done if you choose to not have the parents link themselves. Parents can be added as observers and have access to view all the things. However, they're not viewing other students' information unless you are doing a discussion. Is that incorrect, Andrew? I believe discussions, if students are replying to each other, parents could see all of those replies.
Yes.
So we want to be really careful about that as we have student privacy and consider how we want to put together our courses.
Yeah, and there can be decisions made on what parents can see or can't see. So the IT department can make those decisions.
Yes, and I would always go back to your district's policy on student privacy and how they want to handle it.
We're getting a couple questions in the chat, and they're asking, what do you think this would look like for a K3 as an LMS?
It can definitely be used at a K-12 level, also at the higher age level. At K-3 level, the teacher would need to set up their modules or their course in a way that makes it very user-friendly for students. It doesn't mean it can't be done. It definitely can. It's just how you set up the organization of your course with the modules in between that would need to be the consideration. I can also publish things and unpublish things. So that's one of the features that helps me limit what's on that front page for students as well. Andrew, do you have things to add to that?
I agree with you. I think it's how you originally set it up. Everything will also take some sort of integration training with students as well. So I do know of, for example, teachers using this to share a storybook, and you can record video and just simply have them click and watch. and then they can reply, and they can reply with videos as well. So there's different ways to use the tools and resources to your benefit. I would still work with my IT department and have different setups turned on and off, because it is able to have certain things turned off. For example, do you mind if I share really quick?
Oh, absolutely. Let me stop sharing. Go for it.
So for K3, to make it pretty simple, one thing I would do is limit the number of tabs they can see. So this is just a sample course that I have. If I was to go into settings and I was to change my navigation, you'll notice I have all these things turned on for students to see. I can drag them down, simply dragging, and get rid of everything I don't want them to see. I don't need them to see any of this, as I don't care. This is not what they care about right now. I could simply have them have home and grades, if that's really all I needed them to see. So just 2 buttons. They go into 1 courses in elementary. When they see it, all they would see would be home, which would take them directly to the modules. And then they could go, so student view.
I love that button.
Yep, all they could see is home and grades. That's all they care about. So they then follow this. And you can also set up each module to go in order, where right now that's what I have. They can't go to module 2 until they complete module 1. So I can pre-set up things that they have to follow it in order. So it takes them step by step. A mobile device version of this works well as well, because it just labels the modules. They click, they do what it says, push next, go to the next one. So really, really dependent on initial teacher setup.
Mm-hmm.
And think about activities. I always think, okay, what are appropriate for K3 to do within a learning management system? How does this look? How does this work? And share that way. Okay.
Absolutely. There was a question that I saw since you were taking over right there for a second. Wonderful. About Canvas gradebook. Does it have to match the SSI gradebook, or can it be different? How does that look? I believe it has to match. If you want it to pull over to Skyward, it needs to match exactly what's in Canvas. If you start playing with it, then you're going to have that glitches when it starts to pull information over. That's just in my experience. Does anybody else have anything to add to that? No. I'm going to be really careful about making sure that I know my categories and I've set things up ahead of time. I feel like Canvas is the one that I have to set things up the most in the beginning. It's very heavy user setup, but then it changes over time.
And there's a lot of questions around learning management systems, and this is a very broad statement. The more you use it, the more comfortable you're going to get, and the more willing you're going to. I use the phrase embrace the awkward all the time, because as we're starting out, it will be a little awkward as we're learning. So it gets better and better and better the more we practice experience. Same thing for students, same things for parents, which is why the recommendation for one or other, etc.
Exactly.
Can you assign things to individuals as groups as well as everyone? So when you're assigning.
Absolutely. So I'm going to go ahead and reshare my screen. I've lost all my tools. There he is. That's what happens when you have more than one screen open. Pausing for a second there. Thank you guys. So when I am creating an assignment, so I'm going to go into a course here. And when I am going to create an assignment, getting in here, I have the ability to assign this as a group. So I can assign it to various groups for collaborative participation, collaborative turning in, or I can assign it to smaller individuals. I can set it if I'm going to have points or GPA scale or all those other pieces. How many submission attempts do I want to allow? Unlimited, or more than, or just one if this is a test? If this is a group assignment, I can pick it's a group assignment, set a name for it, split it into how many ever groups I want to. When I go to this assign to, I can assign it to everyone within the course, everyone within my domain. So all of the courses within that, or individual students. So I could go in and grab a student's name and send them this assignment. So there's a lot of ability for differentiation, as well as I can set a due date and make the course, this assignment available beyond the due date. So I can make it show up for a student in their to-do list for however long I want to until they turn it in, or I can make it go away after a certain period of time.
Would you mind clicking the add button?
Yep. And I can assign to more people. Lots of course selection, everyone, all those that are in this course. So if I had multiple courses, I can assign it to multiple courses at once as well. Any other questions on the assignment portion?
Yes, they're asking, how easy is it to make accommodations for students with IEP?
So if we're talking about voice to text or other features, those are pretty easy to add. I can insert and edit material, but if I'm wanting to change the entire assignment to accommodate a student, that's where I may want to create an additional assignment and assign it just to that student if I'm getting too far into the accommodations. Andrew, how is your accommodations going with your students?
I use the same as you.
Yeah. If I'm really going to adapt this quite a bit, then I'm going to make a separate assignment. If I'm not going to adapt it a lot and I'm just going to show them some tools that can help them, then I can do that within this box by using videos, by adding links, by voice overing, all sorts of other features.
And we're getting a couple other questions. And thank you, Joanne. So Immersive Reader has now been added as an add-on within Google or within Canvas.
Awesome.
We're getting a couple questions. Can you add students on 504 plan to receive extra time?
So I could duplicate this assignment and make the due date longer for those students that are on a 504 plan. So I could adjust the due date for that group of students by duplicating the assignment and adjusting the due date.
Okay. Another question. How does assigning stuff to a subset work with SIS integration?
Ooh, that's a difficult question in the grade book, but the subset group is going to go into the master grade book, which is then going to pull over to your Skyward or PowerSchool or other things. So it just depends on how you have that grade book set up. So if I made it a sub-assignment for a student or a group of students, those assignment, if nobody else is getting that assignment, are going to show up in the grade book and it's going to be marked as no count for the other students that are not part of it. Does that make sense? I see Heather kind of twisting her head a little bit. Do you want to unmute? Go for it.
So then, like, if you have a modified assignment for your SPED students or for your EL students, you can't have their modified assignment go into the same gradebook column as everybody else. They have to have their own separate assignment just for those kids, which I could see as being a big problem because you'd have to do that for every assignment, theoretically.
It could be complicated in that I have never had mine pull into Skyward. I've always manually moved them over. And in doing that, I'm able to add the modified assignments in the same column as the other assignments. So that's kind of a pro and con of the gradebook integration with your school system. Unless anybody has figured out a way around it. Pete, have you figured out a way around that?
Nope. Can't help you there.
Yeah, it's a separate column. But if I'm manually putting it into Skyward, when I think of it, and I'm sorry, Skyward is just the most common SIS I'm familiar with, but any SIS system, if I'm manually putting it in there, that gives me the ability, just like in the olden days when I had a paper gradebook and I moved it over, and gave me a little bit more ability to do those accommodations and separate grading without a separate column every time. Depends on your population of students too. How often are you going to do that? What's the need in your classroom? Some might be very high and some might not be as high. This is an example of what the parents would see on the parent app. So you can see up at the top here, they're able to toggle between students. So if they have more than one student within the district or building, they can toggle through. It gives me a great, if there's a grade for the assignment and how they're doing within the course. Looks like Jeff had an answer for some of the grading situation there. There were some early on questions during our time last week where people were asking about browser and computer requirements. All of the LMSs require some level of internet to access them. Canvas is suggesting that you use a modern browser such as Chrome, Foxfire, Edge, or Safari, and avoid Internet Explorer or an older, outdated browser to work as well. They do recommend a minimum speed of 112 kbps, kilobytes per second, uploading ability. They've worked really hard to make sure that it accommodates low bandwidth environments. However, it does require some bandwidth to get there. They can download as an HTML or an EPUB content for offline viewing. However, those are going to be read-only, and a student would need to manage them on their own device. So if it was a Chromebook, they would need to know how to get on offline, manually change those, and then upload them when they did receive an online presence. Any files not supported by an EPUB format, such as file attachments or PDFs, can be downloaded and viewed, again, on the student's native computer. They would have to make those edits and upload them back over to Canvas for submission. Looks like there's a question about I can't have assignments only in Skyward. If I'm manually placing my assignment in Skyward, I can have them in Skyward and I could have them in Canvas. But if the integration is there, I can't have them separate. Meaning that if I had used the Canvas gradebook and it's not pulling over to Canvas, then I can make adaptions. But if it is pulling over to Canvas, anything that's in that gradebook in Canvas will also be in the SIS gradebook. I may have gotten that question wrong.
Yeah, I'm just, if it's okay, I'd like to follow up, if that's all right. I'm just,
I was trying to read it and understand at the same time, so please do.
I'm just trying to figure out, is there going to be this giant issue between the grade, like you showed us a screen that a parent would see for the grade that the student has in the class? If it's integrated with our SIS, then that has to match exactly, or there will be problems with our communication with parents. It's not useful if that grade does not match exactly. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. If those two don't match, there's going to be a lot of questions that go out from there. You can toggle off a gradebook if you choose not to use the gradebook within Canvas. However, I really like the gradebook within Canvas, and at the college level, I don't have another system that's reporting it. Andrew, I thought you unmute.
Well, there's also the import and export feature within the gradebook of Canvas. So I'm assuming you can import additional grades that are not seen. So you should be able to get them to match. It just might take some work because you can import additional grades even if they're not assigned to your class within Canvas.
So is that how you do it for your college classes, like for test scores and stuff? What do you do for that?
So my college classes are all managed within Canvas, and there is no outside connection for test scores. So they all go in within the gradebook.
Right, so you don't have any like paper tests that you have a score for that?
No, all of my courses are online completely.
Oh, I gotcha, okay.
There is no in-person. And I did reply, Elizabeth, the minimum KBPS is 512. So it's pretty low, but it does require some level of internet. Could be done from a hotspot in that case. And if a student downloaded a bunch of the material, completed it on their own offline, and then uploaded it back, that would be a workaround. It's not going to be super slick, but it can be done.
And I wanted to highlight Jeff's comment. Jeff noticed that when he launched a Teams meeting for Microsoft inside Canvas using Chrome, there was a little bit of issue. I don't know if that's been resolved with any updates, etc. But them changing to Edge fixed the issue. Just as an awareness, I think that's a good thing to highlight.
First thing to do, is check another browser.
Mm-hmm.
Refresh, check another browser,
Make
turn
sure
it
you're most
off, turn it back
updated.
on.
Check your updates. Always check your updates.
Yes. And I do find that Microsoft Teams likes to work within its own browser, Edge, just as Google likes to work with its own browser, Chrome. So sometimes they can be touchy. Other considerations to make. What is your district's level of privacy and data? We don't know, so we can't answer that necessarily, but we want to make sure that it meets the requirements for student data privacy within your district. Do you have ongoing yearly funding to help with pricing? What is the pricing within your district and within your specific situation? There is a free version of Canvas and there is a paid version of Canvas, and some of these features that we've been discussing are part of the paid version, and those are normally done by an FTE. Please be careful with looking at other people's price points or quotes, as those are very specific to their region, their district, their number of buildings, etc. Does your district have the FTE to man the integration of your SIS system? It's going to take manpower, and it's not just a one-time setup manpower, but it's consistent throughout the year to keep Canvas running smoothly. Do you have that availability? How much PD is needed for your district to onboard? Are some of your teachers already familiar with Canvas? Have they been using it for a while? That's one of those questions to ask yourself. Our team here is here to support you with additional trainings after this overview. What IT support am I going to need in the future? What administration do I need in the future? And what are those integration tools? We talked about a lot of plugins and a lot of integration. What are those tools that we need as a district within Canvas or not within Canvas? Those are some team level decisions to make. Do we have any other questions at this time? Looks like we're... Yep, Chrome seems to update pretty regularly. Can definitely break some things, Kathleen. I did want to point out that your ESD distance learning leads are listed on that first page. So as you're thinking about this, okay, we want to go Canvas, we think this is where we're going to go, this is who you reach out to within your various ESDs for that next level support and training. Go back to my last slide. And then on our LMS professional learning page is where you're going to locate and all of the video from our first session last week, as well as we will be adding the videos for the various sessions as soon as they render and get themselves up. Andrew's been really quick. I think they might be up by the end of today or tomorrow. Depends on that. So those are your next level steps. Attendance. So Lisa, can you explain your question a little bit more? Can you talk about attendance? What portion of attendance are you concerned about?
I'm mentally comparing to Google Classroom. It's sort of tricky to take attendance in Google Classroom, and there's no integration with our SIS. So my question is there an attendance feature, and does it integrate with SIS? am I going to be taking attendance in my in Skyward anyway? I'm just trying to figure out. Our admin is really excited about SIS integration, and right now it doesn't sound like quite the bonus that I'd like it to.
Yes, I don't believe that there is an automatic attendance feature within Canvas unless Andrew has some knowledge that I don't have. I'm still going to have to mark that in my SIS system. There are some reports that let you know how long a kid's been logged in or things like that. But to be honest, I stay logged into my Canvas account all the time. So I would look like I'm there forever, that I live in the Canvas world. So that would not be a great way to track attendance or engagement with the student. Now, just like with the Google Classroom when we mentioned, you could do a little poll or an entry task that a student needed to fill out each day. However, that still doesn't track, did they stay more than 30 seconds after answering that poll? Outside of doing the daily assignments and completing them, there's not really a great way to track user interface. I don't know if they're on a YouTube video when they're logged into Canvas. So that's still going to require teacher power.
Yes, I suspected, but thank you for clearing that up. And yeah, login time is, yeah, I don't know that anyone can figure this out for attendance. So thank you very much.
Yes, and I do know that although we can set up our Canvas courses to be asynchronized with recorded videos and assignments, it's still going to require a teacher to check in and answer those chats and those questions. And it's not going to be something I can push off until the day that I see the A students again. So it is going to require some teacher handling in some way, shape, or form, regardless of what LMS you choose as a district. They're not just going to run themselves.
No.
And I know, like, you know, a kindergartner or a third grade student, I wouldn't want to send them off on a task within an LMS without doing some pre-instruction and answering some good questions, wherever that was virtually or in session.
Okay, let's take some last few questions. I think we've answered all the ones in the chat. If you have any others, please type them in the chat at this point, or just feel free to unmute. We have about 2 minutes left.
Oh, good. I did good on time. I wasn't even clocking.
Perfect on time. Okay, so about 2 minutes left. If you have any other questions, remember, this is just a very broad overview. There are more features that we could not highlight today. But
lots of features. We were just trying to figure out what could we offer today.
Yep, and try to keep them common across all LMSs. So,
yes.
Other questions?
Well, if there aren't any other questions, thank you all for being here with us today. And we really appreciate you giving us a moment of your day. And we're here to support you when you make those decisions. We have Schoology coming up next. Is that correct, Andrew?
That is our final one for the day.
Woohoo!
Oh, we do have a question. Can Canvas show the grade for an assignment without showing the whole grade book?
I believe within the individual assignment, you can add a grade and a comment. And so the student could go into their assignment and just see what they got for that assignment. They can also see it in the larger gradebook view as well.
Also in the discussion post also.
Absolutely. Thank you, everyone. You're awesome.
Thank you. Thank you. Hate to put you on the spot. Hate to put you on the spot. If you haven't left yet, Amber, do you want to unmute and say hi to everybody? You're listed as the contact person for ESD 121.
I am. Hi, Andrew. How are you doing?
Good. How are you, Amber?
Nice to see you. So no matter where we go in the state, we'll just keep finding each other.
Which I appreciate, actually.
I do too. So hi, all. Amber McCulloch, Puget Sound ESD.
Nice to meet you, Amber. I haven't got a chance to meet you yet. I look forward to working with you.
You guys will work well. It's going to be good.
We're all awesome. We have a great team.
All right. I am stopping the recording. I don't see any more questions.
Nope. And then we'll log off